At the peak of the late 90s, back when studios could build an entire movie around a grin and a first name, Freddie Prinze Jr. was the guy. He wasn't just in the teen era, he was the teen era. The clean-cut heartthrob who could jump from slasher thrills to glossy rom-com charm without breaking a sweat. I Know What You Did Last Summer, She's All That, Scooby Doo. These weren't just credits, they were cultural landmarks for an entire generation watching VHS tapes wear out from overuse. And then, right when it looked like his career should have locked into permanent A-list autopilot, something strange happened. Freddie didn't crash. He didn't burn out in public. He didn't spiral into tabloid chaos. He just stepped aside. One day he was the face on the poster. The next he was popping up in unexpected places. Voice acting and animation, working behind the scenes in wrestling, choosing projects that felt quieter, weirder, and a lot less movie star. So the question isn't really where did he go? It's why did he leave the obvious path? Did Hollywood move on, or did Freddie walk away first? And if he did, what does it say about the guy who seemed built for fame deciding he didn't want to live inside it forever? The answer is way more interesting than he disappeared, because Freddie Prinze Jr. didn't fall off. He opted out. Not in a dramatic, headline-grabbing way, but in the quietest, most deliberate way possible. Choosing presence over fame, control over chaos, and sanity over the conveyor belt that keeps chewing through people until there's nothing left to sell. And to understand why, you have to start with what most people forget. Freddie didn't walk into this business as a wide-eyed dreamer. He walked into it like someone who already knew it could kill you. Because when you're the son of Freddie Prinze, the groundbreaking comedian who became one of television's first Latino stars, then died at just 22 when his son was still a baby, you don't grow up romanticizing Hollywood. You grow up seeing it as a place that can hand you everything and still take you apart. That kind of inheritance doesn't show up on a resume, but it shows up in decisions. It changes what success looks like, and it explains why, when Freddie Jr. finally had the same thing his father briefly had: attention, power, the industry's full spotlight, he also had the same pressure. Keep feeding the machine. Keep being the product. Keep proving you're worth the space you take up, or get replaced. At the height of the late 90s in Hollywood, when studios churned out star types like Currency, and Freddie Prinze Jr. was the textbook definition of the guy. His resume stacked up into the kind of run that felt tailor-made by the system. She's All That wasn't just a hit. It was a showcase built around his charm as the center of gravity. The kind of movie that works because audiences are willing to spend 95 minutes watching him be effortlessly likable. Then came the stack. Teen thrillers, romantic leads, mainstream comedies. Credit after credit until his presence stopped reading as an actor and started reading as a function. Poster, a marketing angle, a castable vibe the industry could plug into a release schedule. But this is where Freddie's story splits from the usual teen idol arc. He wasn't chasing fame like oxygen. He was side-eyeing the whole system with the inherited skepticism of someone who understood the cost of the spotlight. His father, Freddie Prinze, rose fast as a groundbreaking comedian and one of television's first Latino stars, then died at 22. While audiences watched Freddie Jr.'s heartthrob wave crest, there was a parallel internal reality. He never fully bought in, never became emotionally dependent on the machine's approval. That matters, because when the industry starts asking you to keep feeding it, more roles, more press, more be the brand, most actors panic at the thought of stepping off. Freddie already believed the conveyor belt was optional. Every What Happened To story has a pivot point, and one of Freddie's clearest came during I Know What You Did Last Summer. Behind the glossy final product, he described tension on set, hostility, and even a dangerous moment that pushed him toward the thought, I might quit. It's the kind of experience that teaches you an ugly truth. Hollywood can make success feel like punishment. And once you learn that lesson, you start doing the most un-Hollywood thing possible. You start asking, is this worth it? That question pulled him toward control. He pivoted into TV work and took on more ownership, including co-creating and executive producing his own sitcom, Freddie. Because when actors get tired of being treated like replaceable parts, they stop waiting to be chosen and start building the room themselves. Creating, producing, demanding a say. Then he did something even stranger for a former teen idol. He joined WWE as a writer from 2007 to 2009, later returning in a producer-director capacity, That move looks random until you understand the pattern. He was drawn to worlds where the work is real, the grind is constant, and the curtain never fully closes. He's also been candid that it demanded everything: travel, total commitment, the kind of your life belongs to the show schedule that burns people out. And that gave him a rare perspective. He now lived inside two machines, Hollywood and pro wrestling, both operating on the same core rule. They don't just want your talent, they want your whole life. Which sets up one of his smartest, most underappreciated moves: voice acting. Freddie became the voice of Kanan Jarrus in Star Wars Rebels 2014 to 2018, and reprised the role in other Star Wars projects. Voice acting is a cheat code for someone who still loves performance but doesn't want the invasive celebrity culture that comes with being the face. No red carpets, no paparazzi swarm, no pressure to keep your image frozen in 1999. It's still acting, just with a protective layer. And if you're wondering what happened to Freddie Prinze Jr., that's the through line. He didn't disappear. He redesigned the job so it couldn't consume him. Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar get married in 2002 and build one of those rare Hollywood relationships that doesn't just survive, it stays. 2 kids, a relatively private home life by celebrity standards, and an approach to marriage that sounds almost aggressively normal. Little rules, clear boundaries, practical habits that keep the machine out of the relationship. And that's the first clue to the simplest explanation for what happened. He didn't vanish. He prioritized. Because when you prioritize family and sanity, you naturally stop choosing careers that require your entire identity to be public property. The red carpet becomes optional. The constant stay visible or be replaced pressure starts sounding less like an opportunity and more like a trap. And once you stop feeding the spotlight starts telling everyone you're gone. That's why the next era confused people. Freddie pivots into cooking. Not as a gimmick, not as a desperate reinvention, as a real passion with real intent. He releases Back to the Kitchen, a cookbook built around family-focused recipes, and frames it plainly. This is part of stepping back from acting to put energy into something that feels grounded, creative, and actually connected to his life. To the internet, that reads like he quit. To anyone who's ever lived outside a comment section, it reads like he evolved. And that's the key difference. The public tends to measure success by visibility. But a lot of people, especially people who've already had fame, start measuring success by freedom, by control, by being able to choose how they spend a Tuesday. So the what happened isn't a mystery. It's a lifestyle change. And if you want proof that he never truly left, look at the pattern. Freddie returns for projects that fit his life, not projects that feed the fame machine. He pops back into acting when it's right, like Netflix's Christmas with You in 2022, without treating it like a comeback tour or begging the industry to crown him again. It's more like a reminder. He can still do this. He just doesn't need to do it constantly. Even the nostalgia orbit keeps pulling at him, because Hollywood never stops trying to monetize its greatest hits. Reports as recently as mid-2025 had him circling back toward the She's All That universe in the form of a potential holiday reunion project with Rachel Lee Cook. That's not a man who disappeared. That's a man who re-enters the chat when he feels like it. And that's why the question, what happened to Freddie Prinze Jr., exists at all. Because audiences expect a certain celebrity arc: rise, peak, overexposure, crash, redemption tour. Freddie's arc is different. Rise, peak, boundary, reinvention, selective return. Shaped by early fame, a deep understanding of what the industry can cost, the decision to diversify instead of cling, and the choice to build a life that doesn't photograph as loudly, but actually matters. It isn't a downfall. It's a guy deciding the spotlight doesn't get to own him.